There we go. Welcome everybody to I Just Got My Kid to Sleep, episode 17. That's our intro music for today. Thank you, intro music player. I am recording live. Well, if you're we've been through that. I'm doing it. I'm a live person. But I'm in my apartment, and I hear some people moving around in different apartments, so everyone's awake. Jack is asleep before 10 p.m. If we were celebrating a non-sleep achievement, then I would feel free to get out the real air horn. Well, actually, it's after 10 now, because I gotta set it all up. Which I don't know if you've noticed. Maybe I got a new camera, which I don't think you would be able to know unless you notice the quality, because you don't see the camera, you just see what I'm looking at is different. That's what I'm saying right now. When I look at you, you look different to me, but that doesn't change how I feel about you. Thank you for listening to the show, sleepers. What a great time this is to be a podcast with you listening. I had a great time in my life. What did I do? What a great. My son, his name is Jack. He is 5 years old, so that helps out with the reference point. I feel like sometimes when I talk about my son to people who don't know how old he is, it could sound like, if you don't know how old a child is and you're sharing information about that child, they're like, well, why is he acting like that? And they're like, well, the age. That's why. We went to Best Buy. I got a tripod. I love going to stores that I used to like to go to when it was a place where you had to get stuff. For those of you who might not know, there was a time before Amazon. I know. Stick with me. Ask your parents, ask your grandparents. There was a time where the best way to buy something was get out of here, Michael. Go there. Get out. No way. Yes. I'm talking to myself. This is a podcast where I talk to myself. Get out. Yes. You have to go somewhere. You had to go to a place. You had to probably, maybe even before a GPS, you just had to go there because you heard of the lore of the store that they had the thing that you wanted. Because back then they did. Stores had a lot of stuff back then because that's the only place people went for stuff. And I'm trying to not miss things anymore, but I do like going to the stores still. I just feel safe doing a thing that I did growing up. And there's no reason other than that. I'm not gonna say it's because it is hot, by the way. I don't know if you can see. I think we're filming in 4K today. I say we. It's me. I've got a towel. I don't want to sweat. I'm going to sweat because it's summertime. I am not going to sugarcoat my excuse of I like to go to a store because I like to see the thing and I like to feel the thing and I like to pick it out. Maybe that's with fruit at a grocery store, but I just like going to the store to buy something because that's what I did as a child. That's what I did before I was a dad, when I was rolling in it, right? That's the cool part about being a parent is if you are not a parent, when I wasn't a dad, just take a second and imagine me. This podcast would be called I'm about to go to sleep. And I would talk about how much time I had that day because I didn't have to get a child to sleep. No, I don't know. But when I wasn't a parent, if things were going well in my career, it was really fun to go to a store and be able to buy stuff. And that's the fun part about going to a store. You get to go there, you get to pick it out, you get to buy it. And I think I lost my main point on this. But I think what I was really aiming for is that I love going to stores. I'm not making excuses for it. I don't I get it that it's faster to order online. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it's better. I heard there's cons. There's pros to the cons. Regardless, if you're still with me, the main joy I had today going to the store was this. I wanted to get a tripod, and I went to the store, and they had tripods, and I got to pick out which tripod I wanted, and it just felt so satisfying to not have to do that on my phone or on the computer, to just be like, I live near a place where if I need a thing, I can just go get that thing. And I brought Jack, Jack's 5. I don't know if I think I went into that. Earlier, I recorded part, like a couple minutes, and then the sound wasn't recorded. So I don't know, there might be some things where I'm like, did I say it? And just know that I didn't probably say it, but I'm thinking that I did because of the thing, knowing that you get it. I brought Jack to the store with me because I got in late last night, like super late. I woke up, picked him up from preschool, and they call it camp, but it's preschool. You know, it's like, I do feel a little bit of not guilt. It is guilt. I feel guilt that he's going to school in the summer because I don't think he should. I don't think he has to. He learned everything. He wasn't behind in learning his colors, or I don't think you really have to learn anything to have to go to summer school as a 4 or 5 year old. I think if you like, he's pretty good with other kids, go on to kindergarten. You don't have to go to summer school for that. But he's in summer school. They call it camp but really it's just like, oh, I was at work, so I have to take him somewhere. I don't know how I feel about that, because I always liked, when I was a kid, I had brothers, and so we just played at our house with our friends during the summer. That's just getting into too much of me. Anyway, he was at preschool camp, whatever, and it's very fun. They do fun things. It's very fun. And I took him to Best Buy, and it was really good, because we had gone to the store about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and it was like, when you take a 3-year-old to a store, they're running and not knowing what they're looking for. It's just kind of like, this is a playground I've never seen, and then they run. This is a playground with lots of TVs. Like, that's what every store you take, like a 2 or 3 year old to, it's like, a new playground that's inside, and they just run. And I think other parents might be a little more strict on the running, and so maybe their child doesn't do that. And that's probably the best way to go, because there's going to be an age, and I don't know where it is yet, where he can't run anymore and stuff. Like, I can't run I can't get into a Best Buy and just like ready, set, go, just start sprinting through the aisles. I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun, but he runs. And when they're 2 or 3, they just run. They don't know where they are. If they see another kid, it could just blow my mind. I remember one time when Jack was like 2, we were in a Target, and that's the good thing about when they're that age. You can take them to like a Target, and it gets all the energy out because their legs are so small, but you still get your stuff done. And one time we were in this Target, and it was at night. Like, he had taken a nap that day, so it was just night by the time we got to go to the store. And so there's all these adults at Target. He's like, I'm always close by. It's not like I'm just letting him loose. I'm right there. He's running, but I'm there. I'm running too. And he sees this other like 2-year-old. I might have shared. I don't think I shared this today or anytime. And he looked at this girl, and she looked at him, and they were just so happy. Like, neither of them could really talk super well, but they were just so joyful. Maybe it was even when they was closer to 1. They were just it was like they were old high school friends that ran into each other on the street. They're just like, you're like me. You're like, what's up with these people? It was so fun to see. Anyway, we went to stores when he was younger, but now the difference is like, he knows like it's a store, and he'll hold my hand and stuff. But there are times where he wants to just run, and the good thing about stores these days is that there's not a lot of people in them, so it's not like he's just running into people. You know what I mean? That's the point of that. So we've grown back in to going to stores. There was a time where I wasn't going to go to a store because it was just too much. But now I think we're back. And that's the lesson for today. Anyway, I traveled for work. This, of course, why else would I travel? Huh? I think parents do get to travel without their kids for non-work activities. I've heard of that happening. And I can't say that I've gotten to do it because my job involves me traveling anyway. So I feel like if I were to be like, oh, I'm going to travel also again just for fun without my son, he'd be a little disappointed. But that's why you don't have to tell him, probably. I went to Las Vegas, Nevada. I was doing shows in Las Vegas, Nevada. I took Spanish in high school, and I still don't know what Vegas is. I think the valleys, but that's it. I know it's feminine. And I was away from my son I dropped him off at camp. And then, we might have even talked about it last week, because last week was from the hotel. And then I was gone for 7 days. And I picked him up today. And it was really a strange experience. I compare it to the movie Shawshank Redemption, where the one guy who worked at like the library finally got out of prison, like legally they let him out, or it was time for him to be let out, and he just hung himself. I was never gonna hang myself, but like I feel like it was a little bit strange to all of a sudden have all of my time to myself every day for a whole week. And at first, it felt like a little too much. Like I would think I would have benefited from having to I love hanging out with my kid. I love interacting with them. But if you aren't a parent, or you might not realize how much time it takes to do that. And so you just put that into your schedule as the only thing you get to do, and then everything else is bonus. And so when you get to do something like work, it feels like a treat. So when you have a kid, the things that used to suck are now the vacation. That's just where I'm coming from. If you haven't, like, I have family members and friends who don't have kids, and they'll say something like, and this is something I used to do. They'd be like, "Have you seen any movies?" And I don't know how to not cry, because I don't cry in the moment, but I don't know how to not be other than to it takes all of my strength to be like, "Are you kidding me?" And I used to be on the other side of it, like, what movies have you? And people are just making conversation. They're just being nice. They don't want to know that a movie is something people get to do that are not you. I'm sure I'll get to see a movie again someday. It looks like fun. I've seen people taking their kids to Inside Out 2. And that looks fun. I'm sure Jack and I went to Garfield recently, and he got a little scared, so we left early. So I don't really count that. I'll watch a kids movie, but if I have to leave early, that's just what are we doing? Why did we even come? But I get it if he's scared. So I don't really know. But that's where I'm playing with. That's where I'm heading from. That's where I'm going to. Is that when you have something that takes up every free moment of your life, the thing that you have to do to pay for that is the vacation, is the joy. And there is joy with that person, the thing. I almost said thing. He's a person, and he's a great person. There is great love and joy. But sometimes the sleep is so deprived that all you can see, you have your child in front of you. This lovely, perfect being that is there. But sometimes they get up, they wake you up, and he still wakes me up when he wakes up, which I'm happy. I'm not. I want to be up when he's up. But when they wake you up so early and you were up so late doing works, things that you had to, that you don't see the kid as much as you see a huge boulder that you're pushing uphill that's just going to roll down over you again that night, and crush your spirit forever. But when I went to Las Vegas, because normally on the road I travel and I go to a city and then I do the show and then I either leave after the show or I travel the next morning or day. So it's it's work. But in Las Vegas, I just did the show. I went down to be at the show by 7:45, and you're done by 9:15, and it's just like, well, what do you do? You know, and that was a bigger problem. I felt like the prisoner that's time to leave prison and be like, well, I can't survive with this freedom. I couldn't survive. I mean, I did survive, but I didn't know if I would. I went to the fountains a lot, the Bellagio fountains. If you haven't been to Las Vegas, they're the fountains that you see in every movie. And that was really nice because I felt like when I spend my time on the road away from my son, I feel like it should be like a work thing, or like a super fun thing. But sometimes the super fun things take a long time. And so the Bellagio fountains are just like 5 minutes, and it's just like, it's beautiful. So I did that. But that was kind of the only thing I knew. I didn't know what to do. It's not that I didn't know what to do. Here's my advice. If you're a parent that's about to leave your kid, just for work or whatever. But here's the problem that maybe talking about will get ahead of it, and you can see it coming. And then when you get hit by it a little bit, you'll be better prepared. This is all I'm saying, is that if you are a parent that takes care of your child all the time when you're not at work, and then maybe you have a big work trip where it's going to be pretty easy, but there's not enough time to go home in between, and you're away from your child. Here's what might happen, and here's how I would handle it. You just have to know that it's going to feel like in your brain going into the week that you're going to have infinite time to yourself, because you're going to go from having like very little time to yourself to every moment of the day is to yourself. But that's still limited, but you're going to feel like I can do everything and anything. And if you find yourself with that feeling, I would immediately just sort of be like, oh, let's lower our expectations. Because otherwise, you're going to find yourself being frustrated with all the time you have and how you spent it, no matter how you did. And I don't know if this is interesting. I'm not saying it's not interesting. I just thought it was weird that when you get the thing you want, all of a sudden it sucks too. And so I guess it's really like coming to terms with the fact that the thing that makes your life a little harder could make it better overall, which I guess that goes back to Tom Brady being like, life is hard. But it's still, which if you haven't followed the podcast, I kind of disagree with Tom Brady saying that, because he's like a very rich, professional, most successful player of all time. And even if he's right, I still don't want him to say that life is hard. I want him to be like, just like, what are we going to do now? This has been pretty easy so far, right? I guess that's the thing, is that I had to come to terms with it. The thing that could make your life hard could make it feel worthwhile. And I don't want that to be the way I live. So then I had to sort of be like, okay, maybe I can just be happy with my current situation, where I'm going to see my son for all of July. I'm not going on the road really at all, except one weekend, and just know that this is something to get ready for that. And that's kind of where I landed. After about 3 days, I was like, I'm going to be okay. And then I was okay. And I slept a lot. So that was really good. I think that's the difference too right now in the podcast. I'm very awake. And maybe that's something that I'm going to have to adjust to if I'm going to start doing the podcast of being awake, is that usually I'm like, I'm just talking and I don't know. I don't know if I'm awake or not. I mean, I know I'm awake, but I don't know. I think there's like, when you're tired, there's like a lack of inhibition a little bit. So yeah, that was that. There we go. I do have a new segment on the show where I talk about news stories that I didn't have time to read up on. And I made sure this week, even though I did have more time, to not read up on the news stories. So I was still able to be consistent. I put just as little amount of effort into that as I would have if I didn't have time, because I was being a dad. So I know you're always a dad. I'm a dad. We're a dad. We're dads. But one thing I heard was a good father-son story. LeBron James's son got drafted into the NBA by the Los Angeles Lakers. They're going to be on the same team. And there was like a big news story because he was one of the, I think, definitely a second round pick, one of the last picks, and the Lakers got him. And it's a huge deal. And there's a lot of, it felt like there would be some criticism because of the nepotism, but it is sports, which is genetic. And even if LeBron James's son, Bronny, is not as good as LeBron was at his age now, if he can possibly be as good as LeBron was at 18 when he's in his peak, like 28 to 32, that's still a very good addition to your team. So that's my hot take on a news story that I didn't have a lot of time to read. Is this the one that really unravels? I just feel like I'll listen back and I'll find out whether I was in a good place, whether it was good. Also, there was a debate which, people feel very strongly about. That's one thing I've noticed. And people also posted a lot on that. The only thing that I thought was weird, it was like, I didn't know we knew who was like officially running yet. Like I thought they haven't had their conventions, but they're already having debates, and that just feels like it's not fair, Like you gotta win. You don't just go into the playoffs of the NFL and they're like, well, these teams seem like they're gonna make the Super Bowl. Let's just play an exhibition game to see if it'll be a good game, But I guess it's politics. I don't know. I'm really excited about the 4th of July. I do think it's interesting that I'm in California, and it's not a good state for buying illegal fireworks because it's a dry. I grew up in Indiana where it was a destination for illegal fire. They didn't call them illegal fireworks, but there were stores everywhere that were called out-of-state fireworks. That was the name of the store, and the main advertising point was you could get fireworks in Indiana that were illegal in your state, and also kind of illegal in Indiana. The more that I've moved away from Indiana, which I love the state. I filmed my last special that we're working on there in my hometown. I had a great experience growing up, and if there was like a major airport and it made sense to, I would move back there. But the more I find myself away from Indiana, the more it feels like the Florida of the Midwest. And that's not fair to Florida or Indiana, really. It just feels a little bit like that's where you go to Indiana. Like, I didn't even realize it, but my grandma and grandpa lived in Chicago, and their neighbors found out we were from Indiana, and they had kids, and we were kids at the time, so it made sense that we were talking to each other, I mean, as an adult, especially with a kid, I'll talk to a kid until they're done talking. I'm not talking to kids, but it's more normal for a kid to talk. We already knew that. If you were listening to the podcast now because you enjoyed other ones, and this one you're like, maybe just know that, I don't know. I think there's hope. I think there'll be hope. I had a lot of, one person at least came to my show this weekend who had seen or they said they listened to the podcast, and that gave me, that made me feel good. So, thank you. Anyway, these kids found out we lived in Indiana, and they were so excited because they're like, that's where you get out-of-state fireworks. And I was just like, I didn't know. I was a kid, my parents weren't really into like letting us blow up stuff. That wasn't their style around the 4th of July. My parents around the 4th of July were more of like a sparkler crowd, which was more for my grandpa, really. My grandpa would buy us sparklers, which I found out later are also dangerous. Like the fire department by our house and when we moved to Illinois said that sparklers can reach 1,800 degrees. 1,800. I mean, that's kind of an interesting state because it's like, well, anything can reach 1,800 degrees if you hold it next to something that is also 1,800 degrees or more. Like I've held sparklers, right? You guys know what a spark? It's just this thing that's got stuff on it and it sparks, and it's, I don't know. Our grandpa bought them and we would hold them. Sometimes we would throw them in the air. We never like played catch with them. That seems dangerous, but we would hold them up, and it was like a fun toy. They were very sharp and pointy, and apparently they could reach 1,800 degrees. I haven't experienced it, but that's such a weird warning because it's like it can reach 1,800 degrees, but no one's going to test it because you don't want it to. It just makes you afraid, which maybe we should be afraid of sparklers. I don't know. Fireworks seem like such a thing that that kids with parents who are super safe are not going to let them get into firecrackers. Like I got to light firecrackers at like a friend's house. I have people. It's not like a ridiculous thing to protect your kid from those things because it is something that explodes and people can get injured. But we had sparklers. That was in-state fireworks. You get sparklers anywhere at the time. Maybe not now because there's this campaign against them to reach 1,800. Like, can you imagine 18? I can't imagine 1,800 degrees. I can't imagine being that close to it. Like, I feel like if something reached 1,800 degrees, everything around it would be burnt. Like, that would be like. But the fire department's not gonna lie. They have one thing out in front of their fire department. They have they can put out one message. And if they put out that message, it's probably right. So, watch out for sparklers. But, out-of-state fire. Like, the kids in Illinois found out that we lived in Indiana and they get out-of-state fireworks. And then I started noticing it as we were driving around. Like, right across the border in Indiana, there was an out-of-state fireworks place. And then I had a friend whose dad in Indiana would buy these fireworks and light them off in their front yard. And I heard that when you buy the out-of-state fireworks in Indiana, you have to sign something that says you'll only light them off at like locations that are okay for that. Which I don't know if that's the best regulation of a thing, because if you've purchased explosives, I don't know if rules are your thing. I don't know if you're going into the store that says fireworks that we sell here are banned in other states. If other states search your car, police were to search and find these, you could be could be a crime. I don't know if people who know that and go to those stores and buy those fireworks are going to be like, so what's the safest way to do this? Like, and that's probably where the problem comes in. Like, fireworks seem like a thing that everybody can kind of light off and it's all fine, but they can also be a problem. I think especially if you're drinking. I don't think it's good for kids to play with fireworks, but if it's like an adult who's drinking, it might be better to hand them over to the kid. But I don't know. It probably depends on the age of the kid. But that was the state I grew up in. You could get out-of-state fireworks in Indiana, and they were in-state. And we never had them. We had, I think we had some firecrackers, but those are just my dad was lighting off, and then sparklers. And I got made fun of it a little bit. I remember one of my friends in elementary school, his younger brother found out that he was like, he just kind of guessed I'd never lit off a firecracker, and like by like whatever age, 5th grade or 3rd grade or something. And then I lied, and I said I had. And they knew. I think they know to this day. They knew. I think that's the only main time I really lied growing up, was if someone asked me if I did something that was supposed to be cool, and I would lie. And it took me a little while to realize that everybody knows already. And then the lying is just worse. So to everybody out there, I believe, I don't think I have lit off firecrackers. I've been around them, but I don't think I don't. My friends have. I don't think I have. That's just me coming to terms with that. I have not lit off fire, and I don't think I'm gonna start. That's where I'm at. I don't think I like all of my fingers, and I know that like your fingers will be fine, but I don't know. It seems like I like going to fireworks. That's really fun. I like seeing them in the sky, but it does seem like a rush though to light off an explosive and throw it. I don't know. Bottle rockets. I feel like I've lit off bottle rockets. The snappers. What were those about? Remember those growing up? Those little things you just throw at the ground and they make a loud sound? How are those? What are those? What's that sound? Are those little tiny explosions going off? Where were our parents asking these questions? The kid down the street will come over while you're playing basketball in your driveway and have a bag of these tiny little explosives and just start throwing them at your feet, and they start popping, and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna die, and then they laugh at you, and they're like, no, it's just this. But it's still, what's making that sound, you know? It can't be a good thing. I mean, it can't be a good thing, but I don't know if it's dangerous or not. I don't know if it's dangerous. Let's see what's on the list. Oh, Jack. Jack is 5. We talked about that, and he loves stuffed animals. And this is a segment where I ask for advice. We're starting new segments as we go along. He has stuffed animals, and if you don't have kids, I don't know when they stop liking stuffed animal. I don't know when he's not gonna want them anymore, and so whenever he like asks for one, I'm like, this could be the last time, and I blame. I'm looking so I can, but this is the camera. I blame those Instagram profiles that pop up on my feed. I don't follow them, but something in my little algorithm says that I should see stuff when I'm on the road that makes me sad about my kid. There are these parenting Instagram profiles where the reels that I see are just ones that are like, you're putting your kid to bed now, you're reading an extra story, you're laying next to... It's phrased better than that. It's like more, and there's like music. This is the biggest thing. Isn't it crazy that you can go on Instagram, or not really TikTok, but YouTube, and post a video and then have a song, like a famous song? You can score your life with the most famous songs in the world for free. Are we not celebrating this? You can shoot something in your life, post it online. That used to be stealing. That used to be taking money from artists. Now it's like Instagrams, we got it, you're helping us out. Anyway, there's these parenting Instagram profiles where their main thing is to make you feel sad about not being happy all the time as a parent. That seems like their main mission. Like, I don't know if they sat down and thought about it, but it feels like they got these parents got together by them. They're not together. There's not a group, but there's many of them, but they not work together. But there's like a lot of reels of parents doing something with their kid and then being like, this could be the last. There's going to be a last time. You're upset that you have to lay with your child as he falls asleep. You're upset you got to read another book. There's going to be someday, and it's going to come way too quick, where you're going to say goodnight to your kid and then be like, close the door behind you. Like, that's what it said. Close the door. But what is this? Was this Mad Men? Are you Donald Draper? Don't tell me to close the door. I'm leaving the door open. What are you? 12? I'm cracking the door. No door is closed. Unless I'm closing it because I want to go. Which, I wonder what that'll be like when he's 12. If we're still living in like a big city with an apartment. Because right now, 5-year-olds sleep. Like I am in my bathroom. I don't know if you knew this. I don't want to like... If you're new to the podcast, you might be like, wow, what an awesome studio with a cool shark curtain background. No, this is my bathroom, which is on the other side of the apartment. It's a 2-bathroom apartment. 2 bathroom, 1 bed, just joking. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. And so I am far away, but he doesn't wake up. Once he's asleep, at age probably like 4 or 5, 3 or 4 or 5, he would just be out. He's out. He is gone. Where is he? Where is his brain? What happens to your ears when you go to sleep that I can be watching a television show almost in his room? I can watch it on my phone with the volume on, and he doesn't wake up. What is it? What happens to your senses? And when does that go away? You know? How can you fall asleep somewhere loud? It's crazy. These are the things that, if you're new to the podcast, I ask the questions that no one answers ever. I don't. Well, some people have answered stuff. I forgot to mention. I don't know if I mentioned it. I also forget stuff. My friend Nikki posted or sent me a message because I asked, how do you get the salt on a salted pretzel? And she said, I should probably look it up to be very specific, but it was something about water. And this is very important for the pretzel lovers out there that also question how things begin. So water is sprayed on soft pretzels to get the salt to stick. So thank you, the sleeper listener watcher Nikki, because on a previous podcast I think I was wondering how you get the salt on there, because there's no salt glue, there's no peel off salt. You don't get little salt things. Now I'm just repeating parts of all the podcasts, but there's no little salt granules where you can take off. Happy Independence Day to Canada, by the way. Is it Independence? I know it's Canada Day. Is that an Independence Day? Are you independent yet? I know you are. There's just people on the money that I'm not going to start a thing with Canada. Anyway, love Canada. There's no things that peel off the salt to stick them on the pretzels. So that's good. So now how come we can sleep and have loud things happening around us? What is our brain doing? I know light will wake him up. Like if I were to turn on the lights in his room, he would wake up. But sound doesn't seem... I don't make it loud, but it definitely... There's stuff going on, That's crazy. Anyway. 4th of July, be safe with the fire. We're not wrapping up yet, but this is a good thing to say no matter what. Be safe. Because there's someone in your life that needs you to have all of your fingers and all of your eyes and all of your limbs. So be safe and enjoy what a great 4th of July weekend. This is maybe the ideal way. The 4th is on a Thursday, so no one's going to work on Friday. No, you get, maybe I shouldn't, people might be like, I'm going to work on Friday. Okay, but I feel like we're all going to have a full, okay, so what I was talking about, Jack has stuffed animals, and I blame the Instagram parents who are just getting views off of sadness. They're making me. I'm feeling sad because they post something about how your kid's not going to be. There's this audio out there where it's like, whenever you feel like you're getting angry at your child, just imagine yourself 80 years old and you only get to come back to one moment in your child's life, and this is that moment. And then whoever's listening to him in the audience is just like, oh wow. It might have been Joe Rogan. Which, very successful podcast. But it's just like, I get it. This is a beautiful time. And I think the part that makes it even more beautiful is that I'm so in it that I can have complaints that make me feel good to exhume from my being. I don't have complaints about my son. But I do think it's a challenge to schedule things in your life the way you used to. And like I don't know how people have a household. I don't know how that, I look at my house, and maybe this is just how everybody is. But I look around and I think this, when I come off the road, I walk into my house and I think like, okay, I'm glad that no one is like not trusting me as a parent. I'm glad that I have, I can parent my son and no one questions that. But if they were just to come in and look at my house, whew, that would be a question. It would be a question because it's like there's just stuff that has to be moved. I clean the stuff, like the stuff, the floors and stuff are clean. There's just a lot of. I talked about that. This is the podcast where we talk about how we talked about stuff before. No, oh, my mom called. I keep my phone on whatever, but I went to look up that advice, and I just got my kid to sleep, and I just. My mom's fine. She'll be fine. We check in. My parents are very happy people. And my dad is retiring soon. He's retired, so he only goes into work 4 days a week. No, he's slowing down on going to work and speeding up on being outside and doing stuff outside, which is very fun. And now their schedule's a little more where they can do more fun stuff. But anyways, the parental, this is the main, I feel like this isn't the best advice part of the podcast. This isn't like the advice, but this is my super dad. I don't know if I talked about it. This is the podcast where I say I don't know if I talked about it. I got this trophy, the Super Dad trophy, a couple years ago, but I didn't get another one. So I don't know if that means I went downhill or this just supposed to last the rest of my life. So I have to ask my kid when he's older. There's these Instagram profiles where they make these sad things about how your child is so perfect and you get to love your child. And I do feel that. I do love being a parent. And that's why I can also, I won't say hate, but feel like that kind of sucks. Because I wonder what it would be like, and I don't know how you do it necessarily, to not have it like really suck at all. Like to just always be pretty well rested, but also spending a lot of time with your kids, but also having a clean and organized house. Like, I don't know if that just happens when their kids are a little older or what. Because I still enjoy it being tired. Because one thing I do love about this time in my life is that I've never really realized how much you can do without a lot of sleep. And not that it's encouraged, but I think a lot of it has to do with the attitude about not having a lot of sleep. Like I said, if I'm in Las Vegas on my own for a week and I don't get enough sleep, I'm just like, what am I doing here? You know, I'm here for work, I can't sleep. But if I'm at home and I put my kid to sleep, I do a podcast, I clean up, I listen to the podcast, I post the podcast, and then I go to bed, and then he wakes up early. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm up now. But I think it's the value that you put into what you do. That's it. So anyways, these profiles that tell you, oh, you're going to be sad about your kid, makes me sad now. And that's the only thing I don't like about it. Because tell me I'm sad when I'm sad, you know? I want to see those reels when he is like a middle schooler or a high schooler and he doesn't want to talk to me. Then I'll be like, oh, I should have spent more time around my kid. You know, I should have enjoyed everything a little more. But don't tell me it now. Now I want to watch something on Netflix and then take him to preschool so I can sleep in. That's what I want to do now, and I don't think there's anything super wrong with that. It's not every day. I don't know. My job is much different than everybody else's. Like if you go to a job 9 to 5, I think your schedule with your children is limited, and it has to be because you got to work. So there is a decision on what to do to spend time with your kids or not. Whereas like my job is for like 45 minutes and just getting there and back. And so it's kind of like we can just always be together at this age until he doesn't want to be anymore. So anyways, he loves stuffed animals, and I don't know when the time is going to be where he doesn't anymore. And that's how he gets a lot of them, is by him asking for something and then me being like, there's going to be a time. I think back to the Instagram reels, and like there's going to be a time where he doesn't want where he doesn't want this stuffed animal. Where me thinking he'd want it is me not growing up as a parent, which is the worst, by the way. And I think I've definitely done it. And he's not even that old yet. But like when your child grows up and then you miss a thing that he doesn't want anymore, that messes with like when there's like a show that he wants to watch every day, multiple times. And then it's not a bad show. Like we watch Snowy Day a lot on Amazon, which is a really good little movie for a part of his life. He would watch the same like shorts on Amazon that were kind of really bad. Good for kids, but this is the worst. And now I think back to like he doesn't even remember those really, and I miss them a little bit because I miss the age that he was then. And then I just feel stupid because I'm just like, well, this is going to keep happening. He's going to keep growing out of stuff. And then I'm going to... Here's what I think the pattern could be. And maybe this podcast is a little too complaining, but I just got my kid to sleep. So that's all. This is just where I'm at. Here's how it's been so far. He'll like something a lot, and I'll either like it or I don't like it, but kids at a very young age have a way of liking a thing so much that even if it's like cool and awesome, you're like, what is... Like, the first time we went to Disneyland, we've only been to Disneyland like twice when he's like known what it was, and the first time we went where he knew what it was, he found the Toy Story ride, and which is a cool ride. Midway Mania, it's like a video game, but you're like riding around in it, and he loved Toy Story at the time, and he still does. And we went on it once, and then he was like, we'll do it again, and I was like, that's fine. And then the light show started out there, so no one was in line for this ride really, so we just kept doing it over and over and over again, which is kind of cool because it's such a hard, like it's usually a long line or whatever, but you're in this thing and it's jerking you around, and this thing that used to bring you joy and like wonder is all of a sudden like, oh, it's been destroyed now. I can't handle like I didn't say it, but I felt like this is what I don't want to get into what you believe in for the afterlife, whether it's heaven or hell or something in between, or you just run it back. But I felt like if there was one thing that where bad people went, this would be one of like a left, just like doing this ride that's fun, but doing it over and over and over, and the little kids just like, we're doing it. And I think kids have a way of enjoying something so much that's impossible as a parent to keep up with, to where even it's like a ride at Disneyland, they're just like a 2-hour ride sometimes, but you get to go over and over, that could destroy the fun out of it. So that's what being a parent's like, but with everything. So if you're a parent, maybe you're relating. If you're not, it's still fun. Like, I still got to go to Disneyland and enjoy it. It just also got ruined for a little while. But that's the thing. I think that's the pattern, is like he'll like a thing, and either I like it right away or I don't. And then maybe I'll come around to it, or maybe I don't. But then he'll move off of it, and I'll be like, oh, I was still into that. We used to watch Peppa Pig a lot, and I would... As a normal, rational person with streaming services, you're like, well, let's finish Peppa Pig. And we would watch them, and it got to the point where he wanted to watch ones he had already seen. And I was like, no, we're on season 5. What are you doing? What are you doing going back to season 3? No, I get it. The whistling episode is a good episode, but we haven't watched 2 full seasons. And how are we gonna cap this off? How are we gonna put a cap on? How are we gonna finish this show if you just keep going back to watch your favorite episodes? And if that's how you were going to watch it, why did you let me enjoy the progression of it for 5 seasons and then decide I want to go back and just watch the ones that I want? And then also, why did you just describe the episodes very kind of randomly without the title of the episode? So I have to search on the internet for which episode, because there's 5 per episode. There's 5 different Peppas per episode. So now you just say one word, and now I gotta search which season and episode this episode is in, where they go to the river or whatever. They go to the beach. Like, how many beach ones are there? It's like, now I gotta search, and then you can find it. And I know parents are being like, who cares? Just do it. But it's kind of a little journey. That's fun. I like seeing if I can figure it out. It's a little puzzle. Maybe that's a flaw as a parent. Like I see the challenge and I'm like, let me see if I can figure out from one word from a 3-year-old, 2-year-old who can't really talk yet. Let me see if I can figure out which Peppa is the one he wants. Let me see if I can, and that's how I entertain myself. But why did we go all the way in sequential order for 5 seasons, and then now we're going back, and now I gotta decide whether I'm gonna stream them all or I'm never gonna see all of Peppa. I'm never gonna feel that. It feels so good to finish a show. And imagine finishing a show and getting to be a parent at the same time. I'm not a non-fan of Peppa. I like the show. I like watching it through the childlike, wonderful eyes of like what an innocent experience of the world by farm animals or whatever, or animals in general. I don't know. I feel like we got better at the end there. So if I could like edit it in, I'd be like, well, just skip to the end. That's what I said before. It's just good at the end. But yeah. So that's what I learned at Las Vegas, is that if you are in a parenting situation where you feel like it's overwhelming, there might be a situation later where you're like, oh, that overwhelmment allowed me to see the world through a specific hand scope where it made the world more enjoyable, to where if that thing that was clouding your time and your effort and everything wasn't there, you wouldn't be able to enjoy it as much. I was in a town where I got to eat pretty much whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I got to watch whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I had to work for, a couple hours a day and do whatever and it felt less fun than if I get woken up, 5 hours earlier than I want to be woken up. Like, Dad, it's morning. And then like do things that are fun for him to do and us to do together. And then have someone come watch him so I can go do a show for 5 minutes and drive there and back in traffic and listen to a song. I like that moment is almost as enriching as like the whole week was. But maybe that's just a better attitude. But yeah, I'm off. I am not going on the road, but if you're in Washington and if you ever heard of Chehalis, I'll be in Chehalis, Washington at the end of July. Like Friday the 25th, I think. But other than that, I'll be doing this, and I'll be posting on Instagram, and I will be I'll be here. I'll be here for you. Well, you're here for me. I think that's what it really is, and that's not even you all are here for, and I appreciate. But I just got my kid to sleep. And now I'm gonna, do the stuff that you gotta do once your kids go. What does he think I do once he goes to sleep? I don't know. I think for a while he thought I just went to sleep. And then I was like, well, I gotta take a shower too. I gotta take a bath too. I gotta eat too. And then he's like, oh yeah. And then he started giving me things to do, because I'd be like, he used to like to clean with me or whatever. Like when he was really little, he'd like spray the windows. I gotta post the picture. It's so adorable. But then I'd be like, let's clean the windows. And he'd be like, you can do that when I go to sleep. And I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway, I just got my kid to sleep. Thank you. We'll be back. I'll be back again. And I appreciate it. And thank you. Thanks everybody who came to the show. Thank you still.